Okay, so let's try one of these harder ones. So again, same thing as always, Sudoku. 1 to 9 in the rows, 1 to 9 in the columns, and 1 to 9 in all of the boxes. So with the difficulty with this one will be usually there's only one option, so if you're using most of the same tricks, you may have to use the tricks consecutively, and remember 2 options in a box, blocks out a row, blocks out a column, something like that, and then that'll switch it up. So we'll go through this. I'll try and go through this slowly. I'll see if I can actually figure it out myself, because some of these I still struggle with. So we'll start off with, obviously while I've been talking, I've been having a look around to see what I can find. And the most obvious one to start with is these couple of ones here. So those 2 ones take out these 5 little boxes here and leaves us with the only option as a 1 being that one. So obviously at the start we look for easy stuff like that, and I also noticed these couple of 4s here as well, so those 4s take out those 4 boxes, which means this is the only one that can possibly be a 4. Same thing, so looking at these 2 3s here, they'll take out these 5 boxes, which means that is the only one that can possibly be a 3, so that's where we've got the 3 from. Now what we can do is have a look and see what we can find. So now's where it gets, I think, I can't see anything obvious. I probably have missed something obvious, but the first thing that I can see is the 6s. So we've got a 6 here and a 6 here, so these 2 6s. So these 2 6s move up into this top box here and take out these ones from being a 6, which means one of these 2 has to be a 6. So in knowing that, it means this column and this column are taken out because one of those 2 has to be a 6, so it takes out these 6. And then looking at this 6 over here in the left bottom corner, goes across here, and because these 3 are taken, one of these has to be a 6 as well, so it means we've got a 6, a 6, a 6, and a 6. So that takes out all of these boxes here, leaving only this box up in the top right corner of this little box as your only option as a 6. Now, so if we have a look around, you have to look for things that sort of are surrounding a box. So for this one, I've seen this 1 and this 7 and this 1 and this 7. So the 1 and 7 are on the same column here, and the 1 and the 7 on the same row here. So that's usually a good indication that it may be able to be used. Let's have a look. So that means that one of these 2, so this is either a 1 or a 7, and this is a 1 or a 7. So that means those 2 boxes are full with a 1 or a 7. So I don't know what that really tells us at the moment. It doesn't tell us anything because none of these are 1s or 7s, so that's fine. So what is in this row? So we've got a 3, 4, a 6, and an 8, which means we need a 1, a 2, a 5, a 7, and a 9. So we need 5, 7, and 9. So 1, 5, 7, well, 1, 2, 5, 7, 9. 1, 2, 5, 7, 9. So if we look here, so this 5 and this 5 mean that can't be a 5. This can't be a 5 either because it's so these 3 5s are stopping all of these 3, so one of these 2 must be a 5. But as we just figured out using these 1s and 7s, one of these is a 1, one of these is a 7, so that means that has to be a 5. So we've got a 5 there because one of these 2 is a 1, one of these 2 is a 7. So we'll need to figure out what that is. So if that's a 1 and a 7, well, 7 and 1, or 1 and 7, so I don't know which way around that is yet, which means this 9 comes down here, and one of these 2 is the 9, so that means that takes out this box here, so these 4 are taken out, and that means that is our 9. So we've got a 1 and a 7 here, so if we look here, we've got this 1 here, which means one of these 2 has to be a 1, so that means that will be our 1, which conversely means with these 2 7s, that's our 7. So that's fairly straightforward. Wow, it just takes a little bit of remembering and getting lucky spotting it. So now we move up, so we've got a whole bunch from these rows, so let's have a look in here. So this is a 7s here and 2s. Okay, so that means one of these is a 2, so 7s and 2s take out all of these rows, so that means that's a 7 and a 2. So we've got 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's a 7 and a 2. So one of those is a 7 and 1 is a 2, so that's fine. Now this row here, what have we got? 1, 4, 5, 6, 8. So 1, 4, 5, 6, 8. So we've got 1, 4, 5. So that could be a 6, 8. 1. There's no 1. There's no 5. So that could be a 1 or a 5. There's lots of options in that one. So what are we looking for? 1, 4, 5, 6, 8. So we've got 1, miss 4, 5, 6, 8. So that means that must be a 4. So because this row, this column, obviously needs to be 1 to 9, and the options left are, were 1, 4, 5, 6, 8. So we've got a 1 that blocks that, and we've also got one over there. We've not got the 4, we've got a 5, a 6, and an 8. So that means that is your 4. So that's your 4 option there. So now we've got 2 and 7 here. 5 and 8 must be up here, which means that is a 3. Obviously, again, the reason is we look at need a full complement. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so if we've got one of these is a 2. We're missing the 3. So 4. So 5 and 8. So 5 and 8 are blocked by these two here, and then that one was blocked by those two, leaving the only option being the 3. So that's where the 3 comes from. So now we have a look and see what else we can find. And again, it just takes some time. So we'll use some of these boxes that we've got numbers in. So we seem to be doing well with the rows and columns. So we'll see what's here. So this is 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 9. So we're missing 2, 5, 6, 8, 9. So 2, 5, 6, 8, 9. So there's an 8 here. So one of these two has to be an 8. So we're missing 2, 5, 6, and 9. 2, 5, 6, and 9. So we've got 5, 6, 9. So we're missing the 2. So of those for this this row, so we're missing. So one of these is an 8. So that means that none of these can be an 8. And then we're missing the 5, 6, and the 9. So 5, 6, and 9, and leaves us with a 2. So because, I don't know if I explained that well enough, it makes sense to me, but so one of these two is an 8. And in this entire row, obviously 1 to 5. So it doesn't matter which one of these is an 8, it's always going to be in this row, so it'll block that out for being an 8. So the other numbers in this row that we need are 2, 5, 6, and 9. 2, 5, 6, and 9. And because we've got a 5, 6, and 9 here in this row, that must be a 2. So that 2 there, that's why that's a 2. Now for this one, we go back to being fairly simple. So we look at this 2 and this 2 here, so these couple of 2s, and they block out these 2 and these 2, and then we've got this 2 that we've just put in, blocks out that one. So that leaves that as our only 2 option, and that's because all of these are blocked out by 2, 2, 2, and that leaves that as the 2. So now we want to look further at, so we've got 3 here. So 3s are blocked here. So we've got a 3 here and a 3 up here. So that means one of these two is a 3. Again, we don't know which one, but that will block out this bottom row. And then we've got this 3 that blocks out this top row. So those 2 are blocked out of these 2, and we've got this 3 up here. So that leaves us with a 3 there that we can pop down. Now I'm just having a quick look around to see what else I can figure out. It doesn't look like much at the moment. So now we've got these full boxes, so sometimes what it's good to do is to figure out if we can get either rows or columns figured out. So what do we need in this one? 1, 2, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 5, 6. So we haven't got 2 in the same row or 2 in the same column. Is there another way we can do it? No. Wow, there might be. Doesn't look that way. So do the same thing here. So again, we've got these 4. So 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. So 2, 7, 8, 9. So we've got a 2 and a 7. So 2 and 7 go up here, which means, okay, so that's a 2 and then a 7 and a 7. So the reason that is a 2, so the reason this is a 2 is a 2 because there's a 2 over here and a 2 here, so that blocked out all of those, and there's a 7 here, so 7 cuts off down here and leaves that as your only option as the 7, so that's where the 7 goes. So now what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 8 and 9. So we've got 8 and 9, and we've got a 9 here as well. So that means this is a 9. So one of these 2 is a 9. So that blocks off those 2. We've got a 9 up here, blocks off those 3. Means that is a 9. Yeah, cool. With that, we've got one of these 3 must be a 1. So one of these top 3 here has to be a 1. So that actually takes out these 2, and then we've got a 1 here that takes out those. So those 3, none of those can be a 1. Leaves us the only option left is that one is our 1. So the next one on is, well, we've got a 5 here, so 5. Once we start to get almost full boxes, it does become a lot easier. So you'll find once you start getting more, the more numbers you get, the easier it gets. That's fairly obvious. So what else do we need? 1. We're missing a 2 and a 6. So there's a 2 down here, which means that must be our 2. So that's our 2 there because of this 2 down here, and leaves the 6. So because it's the only number left in the box. It has to be 1 to 9, so 6 goes there. So that's fairly straightforward. So now we've got those in, let's have a look and see what we can find. So that 6 that we've just put in means that can't be a 6, and we've got a 6 over here. So these 2 can't be 6s, so we put a 6 in here. So that's our 6 done. What else have we got? So we put a 1, a 5, a 2 in, so we can possibly have a look to see what we can get. So one of these 2 is still a 2, so we've got 5s. So that means that column there is taken by 5s, and this column here is taken by 5s, which leaves us as that the only 5. And if we remember from earlier on, this is a 2 and a 7, this is a 5 and an 8, which means this 8 here takes out those 2, which means that can possibly be, that's our only 8, so we'll add that in there. So that's fairly easy, really. So we've got 2 columns here that are missing 1, so that should be fairly easy to figure out. You just count down and figure out which one is missing. So that's missing the 8. And then what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it must be missing the 9. So you can either do it that way, or because there's now only 1 left in this box, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and missing the 9. So that completes our box there. So now that we've got this 9 just added in here, and we've got this 9, so we've got a couple of 9s here. So those 9s take out all of, well, these 4 empty boxes here, leaving us with only one possible option as the 9, and that's it there. So once we get that one, so if we remember from here, 8 and 9 are our options up here, which means obviously a 9's there, so that has to be an 8, and then obviously again 1 to 9 in the box means that's a 9. So that's our box there. The other thing that now we can have a look at is this row here. Obviously 1 missing, so you just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're missing the 4, so 4 must go there. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 to 9, perfect. Now we've got the 4, so we've got this 4 takes out these 2 empty boxes, and this 4 up here takes out these 2, which means these 3 empty boxes of the 4, this one must be a 4 in the bottom, well, in the little left corner here, so that's your 4 there, because obviously they take them out, easy enough. Now, with that said, we've actually almost got a full another column there, so we just count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're missing the 4, so that's the 4 there. Well, now, so once we get to this, I think that's our easy options go on. So now let's just start counting across and figuring out what needs to go on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're missing 5 and a 6. We've got no 5s and 6s up there, that's fine. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So 1, 7, 8. So we've got a 7 and an 8 here. And because all of those 3, so neither of those can be a 7 and an 8, so that one of those 2 is a 7 and one of those 2 is an 8, which leaves us one option here, which is the number 1. So that's our number 1 spot. So again, not too bad, but a little bit of a different way of looking at it, not as obvious as the last couple, so, and not as obvious as the next one that I've just spotted, which is using this one that we've just put in. So that takes out that empty box and that empty box, and this one takes out those 2 empty boxes. So those 3 empty boxes there can't be the number 1, so that means that's our number 1 there. With that 1 put in, well, let's have a look. That cuts out that entire column. This one here cuts out this entire column, and then we've got a 1 over here, cut out this. So of all of these, leaves us with the only option there being the number 1 spot being top left corner, which is always a good one. Don't know why it's always a good one. It's always good to get the corners, I find, but we'll move it on. So we've got a few that we've put down here, and I've just noticed this 8 as well. So obviously while I'm talking, I'm constantly scanning around to see what I can find the next move to be. Obviously if I'm talking for a bit longer, I'm obviously trying to scan and find a move and taking a bit longer. So that means that's the only 8, because this one here takes out these 2 empty boxes, and then that's our 8. With that 8 added, we then look up. That takes out those 2 empty boxes, this one takes out that empty box, and it means this is the only option for the 8. And like we said, there was a 7 and an 8 that go there, so that must mean that's the 7. Because obviously, again, rows 1 to 9, simple. Now, once we've got a couple of 7s in, we've got 1 spot missing from those. So I've already noticed that that is the 7 spot, so you can do it 2 ways. So again, so that 7 takes out this, these 3 empty boxes, this 7 takes out those 2, leaves that as the only one, or you can count it. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, missing the 7, so 7 goes in there. Once you've got that 7, move across here, these were 2 or a 7, which means that's a 7, because that box here takes out the bottom one, which obviously means that's a 2. Once we get to that one, we want to try and figure out what our next move is. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So we're missing a 3 and there's a 3 there. So this is a 3, so 4, and then that's a 5. So we've got a 5 there. Just count the box. Quite simple. Straight up above. 1, 2, 3, 4. Missing a 5, so we've got that is a 5. Missing a 6, so that is a 6. So we'll go there. Now, what else have we got up here? So we've got a 2, so that 2 takes out that. This 2 takes out this one. That 2 takes out there, so we've got a 2 up in the top corner there. That's easy enough. And then 1, 2, 3, missing the 4, so we put a 4 in. Simple as that. So now what have we got? 2s. So 2 and 2. And 2. So these 5 here can't be 2s. Leaves us with this as our only option is the 2. Well, if I press the right number, that would be fantastic. So that's our 2 there. So, yeah, again, fairly straightforward. So let's use this box that we've already got, so that we've got a 9 here. So 9, 9, because we've got a 9 down here. So I'm scanning ahead, and I've got to just remember to touch it on the screen, because obviously you can't see what I'm looking at without me touching the screen. So 9 goes there, takes out those 2 empty boxes. This is a 9 here, takes out those, so it leaves that as our only 9 option. We've got these 2 9s, which means that leaves us with this middle one as the only option to be our 9. So what else are we missing in this? 1, 2, we're missing a 3, which we don't know what it is. 4, 5, missing a 6, and there's a 6 there. So that means this is a 6. Top one must be a 3, because that was the only other one we were missing in the box. And we've got another one complete. So now we do have a, what have we got? 1, 2, where can the 3 go? So we've got a 3, a 3, and a 3. So that means that is our only 3 option there. So we've got that as a 3. So that one has to be a 3, because this, the 3 down here takes out that one. This 3 takes out that. This 3 takes out this. So these 2 are taken out by 3s. So now we have a look and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6. So 6 and 6. So that middle one must be a 6. Obviously, same reasons again, pretty straightforward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, missing a 7. Where's the 7? 7's there, so that means top one must be a 7. And leaves the only one left is the 8. So 8 obviously goes in the last spot remaining. So we've got almost a full column here, so let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, missing the 7. So 7, done. 1, 2, 3, 4, missing the 5, so the 5 obviously goes there. And 6, 7, and missing the 8, and that's us all done. So that's the expert one. So as you can tell from that, at the start it's a lot more difficult than towards the end. The more numbers you get in, obviously the easier it is. So there's just a few tricks and things you need to remember. So a couple of them were the 2s and the 7s falling into places, and then the 5 and the 8s. And then 8's blocking off a row, those things like that. And so even though it might be, you might have 2 options left in the one sort of square 9 box. If they're in the same row or in the same column, then it can still help you for other boxes further down the line. So just keep that in mind. Again, once at the start of the game, you just need to get a run on. Once you start noticing a few, that'll often help you with the next ones, because obviously you can only sort of do so many at a time, and once you start filling up a box, well, one box of 9, it starts getting easier. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope it was a little bit helpful for you and not too long-winded, and that I managed to show everything correctly. If I missed anything, let me know, and I can attempt to explain. Thanks very much. Bye.